The title of today's lecture is You Can Just Do Things. Currently it's a Monday. It's 12 p.m. And I'm supposed to be doing work right now. But I got so tired of telling myself that story. Something in me was just like, fuck you. I'm gonna go out and play. So we're gonna go on a little hike today. It's about an hour 30 drive away. It's a beautiful hike. I've done it a few times. I haven't done it in a few years. But I thought I'd shoot the shit while I go on this adventure. Because you can just do things. You can just do things. You don't need to ask for permission. Contrary to popular belief, we have all of these excuses. Oh, but this isn't good enough yet. When I finally get this in order, then I can finally start doing that. When I finally have this, I can start doing that. When I then I can But doesn't it get tiring at some point? At some point, when will you stop justifying your own misery and actually take that leap forward? Right? How often is it the case that fear is masqueraded as logic? And we just don't do what we want to do. I was looking at a video I recorded about over 2 years ago, and that video, I'm going to link it, and I might even force you to watch it on this video because I thought it was so good. It only had 17 views, but this idea of freedom. Freedom is radical self-love plus relentless growth. A lot of the times when we think, oh, I have to work on myself, I have to improve myself, I have to improve my body, I have to improve my finances, I have to improve my this and that, everything about my life needs to be improved, right? And so you go on this entire self-improvement thing with everything about yourself, and then you do it long enough, and then one day you find out, I'm fucking exhausted from all this improving. It's like, all of this improving, but when will I be good enough? Right? That was the journey for me, was starting off on the journey of self-development, right? Always trying to figure out, okay, how can I make my life better? How can I make my life better? In whatever arena, right? Again, finances, career, body, purpose, relationships, intimacy, family, friends, love, freedom, everything, right? But it got to the point for me where I'm like, fuck, I got so many of the things I wanted, but there's still this fucking void inside of me that I just can't fill. And maybe that was the entire issue all along, was that by trying to fulfill the void, I guarantee myself that I never fill it. It's an unfillable pit. And the funny thing is that led me to spirituality, right? Because what is spirituality about? Fundamentally, it's about self-love. It's about self-awareness. It's about emptying yourself. It's about becoming free in your spirit, freeing yourself internally, because you realize that the external world will never be able to give you what you want, no matter how many women you sleep with or how many billions of dollars you have, how many ranches and estates and luxury cars you have. You quickly realize how empty the material world is. And some people discover that with nothing. Some people need to make millions before they fundamentally come to that realization. But then you could say the trap of spirituality is that you start to be like, you start to renounce money, you start to renounce success, you start to renounce material abundance. And you do it in this name of like, oh, I'm too good for that. But secretly, deep down, you still want it. You still want the money, you still want the power, you still want the love, you still want the validation, you still want the fame. And that's because you're only human. Right? And so you go on the self-improvement journey. Okay? That doesn't get you what you want. Then you go on the spiritual journey, and it kind of gets you what you want, because you're like, I am the awareness of the bliss of the ultimate consciousness. I am the universe. God is in me. I am God, and God is me, and I am all a part of this divine thing called life, and I'm here to just experience this thing and create my own game. Actually, I'll take back create my own game, because that's the synthesis. But then you realize, like, shit, I'm still broke. I'm still not who I could be in my fitness, in my relationships. So you're back in this self-improvement problem, right? But then, so the answer that I've come to is like, okay, well, achievements are not the goal. Spirituality is not the goal. So then what's the goal? The goal is to love every day. The goal is to love your life. The goal is to play while you're striving towards your wildest, deepest, fucking unimaginable dreams. Right? And I coined it as freedom equals self-love plus relentless growth. Right? Because what's the point of achieving what you want to achieve if you are miserable every step of the way there? And what's the point of being blissfully happy and being a complete bum? You know, well, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I'm like, I say this time and time again, you're in this life, you're in this body, you have this meat suit, you're in this ego, you're experiencing life as born as you for about 100 years. So it's like, why not make the most out of your time in this material body and in this material world, while knowing that you are of the spirit and not the flesh? Why can't you enjoy both worlds to the maximum at once? You don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be material. You can be both and neither at the same time. You can find the ultimate bliss by immersing yourself so deep in life, so deep in the material, so deep in the spiritual, that everything just becomes play. And I think that is so beautiful. You know, you don't have to cling on to materiality and to material things and possessions and relationships and the name of freedom and success and the name of love. Neither do you have to cling on to the empty void of the spiritual bliss of pure consciousness and nothingness. Because you're gonna go back to pure consciousness and nothingness anyway when you die. You go back to it anyway when you sleep every night. But when you wake up, can you live in the pure consciousness of who you are while fully living out your life as this being, as this human being, in relationship to the world, to other people? And that, my friends, is ultimate freedom. And it's not like there's no perfect way to do this, right? We're all living our own life. We're all creating our own game, whether you're conscious of it or not. But it's time for us to become conscious of the games that we're playing. Right? If you're playing a game you never chose to play, you're losing, no matter what. But if you step back for a minute and realize, wait, I can choose the set of games that I'm playing, whether it's in career, it's in work, it's in purpose, it's in relationships, it's in love. I can define and create my own game. You know, what is my definition of success? What is my definition of a life I would be proud and happy and fulfilled to lead and to live, regardless of how that looks to other people? Right? Let's tie that back. How can I be on the way to my fucking dreams while enjoying every step of the way? It sounds like an impossible thing until you break your own self-limitation of the belief that, oh shit, you know, being successful means I have to do what I don't want to do. Well, what if being successful means you get to do what you want to do? Do you see? It's not that they're incompatible, it's that the beliefs that you've boxed yourself into have defined them as incompatible. But these beliefs are just boxes, and you can step out of these limiting boxes and you can create your own boxes. It's just like Minecraft, it's a sandbox game, right? You can create your own box. It's funny because, you know, it's like we as humans, it's like the white picket fence, the American dream, whatever, right? Is like this idea that, oh my God, I'm gonna work hard enough, and then once I work hard enough, I can buy myself a white picket fence house, right? I can buy myself a little box that I can live inside for the rest of my life. I can start a family, I can blah, 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 right? But it's like, the trap is, you know, I'm not saying that's not a beautiful thing. It's like, if that's what you want, go after it, right? But it's like, life only gets as good as your imagination of how good it could be. Life only gets good as your creativity to design your life. You don't have to confine yourself in boxes, right? Or at least if you choose, right? If you choose a box, decorate the box, make the box yours. You know what I mean? It's like you buy a pumpkin in Halloween, but what would be the meaning of that pumpkin if you just let it sit there, right? It's like you carve out the pumpkin, you carve out these like creative designs, these faces, these expressions, these moods, and you make it into something that wants to be expressed. Your life is the same thing. Create something that makes yourself excitedly, vividly happy to just express yourself through you, and to turn that imagination into reality, to turn that dream into reality. That's what we're put here to do. We're put here in order to turn dreams into reality. What the hell do you think Elon Musk did? He is a kid following his sci-fi vision and dreams. Is that crazy or what? He doesn't do it for the money, and yet he's the world's first trillionaire. You think he gives a shit about the money? No. He just cares about the play, the vision. And it is a beautiful thing. This is going to be a standalone video, I think. I'm not sure. See, we're only 15 minutes into my 1 hour 30 drive into a hike that I'm about to do, and I've already come out with a banger video. This is what happens when you follow inspiration rather than follow pressure, right? When you follow your heart rather than your mind. Your mind constantly needs to justify itself. Oh, I need to stay disciplined. I need to, I need to eat better. I need to. No, but if you build your identity around the person who's jacked, who's lean, who's happy, who's aesthetic, who's in love with life, you stop trying to pursue goals out of sheer mental willpower and discipline. You start to pursue it out of love. You start to pursue it out of creativity, out of inspiration, out of joy. And funny enough, the actions that you strived so hard to try to stay consistent in suddenly become effortless to you, right? Because you've built an identity around your dreams. I'm going to cut it off now. I think this is the perfect place to stop. Hope you enjoyed this one. I love y'all. See you in the next one. Peace out.